So now everyone cares about special teams.
I am pro Beaver. I'm a fan of the Beavers.
They only had one single play that they ran outside the tackle to the right.
We got to wrap this thing before we go off the rails. Happy Friday, Falcons fans. Welcome back to our second episode of Friday 5. I'm your host, Will McFadden. I'm joined as always by Tori McElhaney and Terrin Waack. The Falcons have their second game of the season against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday night. It's going to be another early primetime game in the year. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, but we're also going to have a lot of fun. That is the whole vibe for this episode. And we're going to start right off the top with a little Friday 4 or 5 cast, right? Trying to figure out what this team's mentality is like heading into the week. They obviously, dropped a tough, close week 1 opener. So, Tori, we'll start with you. How is the vibe kind of been in the building, and what's your vibe?
So my vibe has been a bit of like a question mark. I think I have a lot of questions about this team, and I have a lot of questions about how they're going to respond. But ultimately, like something that I found out when I was doing some research for the show I do with Fox 5 called Rise Up Tonight, that it's every Thursday night. So check it out. I do it with Kelly Price, and she was kind of talking about, I don't know how to feel. I'm just like trying to feel better about like losing in week 1. And I was like, you want to know the last time that the Falcons lost to the Bucs at home to start a season? Like, do y'all know when?
I know.
Y'all know. I know y'all know. But so y'all want to tell the people?
Here you go.
Oh gosh, but what if I'm wrong?
It's literally, so we're recording this on September 11th, 2025. It's exactly 9 years ago today, September 11th, 2016.
What was that, 31-28?
Yes, or 24.
Okay, but I remember that game. It was a great game.
To sum it up, the last time the Falcons lost to the Buccaneers in a home opener was the same year the Falcons went to the Super Bowl.
So not to say that is happening this year, not to say anything.
Okay, everyone calm down.
Yeah, not to say, but I'm just saying, like, it just goes to show, like, if you lose week 1 against a divisional opponent, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your season.
Hold on, I got to go cancel a flight because I thought that meant we were automatically booking our tickets. But no, I think that's definitely a great reminder, and it's a good reminder that week 1 is week 1, right? There's so much football left to play. So, Terrin, what's your vibe state going into
it's just
this
like
matchup?
Loading.
She's the like
buffering,
the circle wheel.
The circle wheel, yeah, the colorful wheel of death on a MacBook.
That's so
contradictory too. The colorful wheel of death.
Yeah, I was like, that's
where
Terrin's
I feel like I'm
nickname.
the dark color of happiness.
Aw.
Hey,
there you go.
Not the colorful wheel of death. Anyways, but yes,
stormy cloud of
loading
smiles.
because as we have now said, it was just week 1. I'm also the one who said week 1 needs to set the tone for the season. So hello, contradictory. But I don't know. There were things that you can fix. They're like not really the injuries. People will get healthy eventually. But everything else, it's like you could see what went wrong. It's not some fluky stuff where you're like, well, I can't really fix that. It just happened. It's like you can improve your run game. You can improve your pass rush. And those are like the 2 things we'll highlight later. I'm already ruining the surprise, but I'm going to stop talking now because, loading.
No, I love all of that. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic is kind of the mentality I'm bringing to this weekend. And the reason I say that is the further away I get from last Sunday, the more I feel like the Falcons were the better team. Like, in a lot of ways in that game. And I think Tampa is a good team. And so in week 1, there were mistakes. But like, again, week 1's kind of about identifying some of those. It's the first time the rubber's hitting the road in a real way. And you come away with that with a lot of lessons. You probably scrap some things. You may add some things and expand on some stuff. So in the areas that they shined, like I thought the Falcons were really solid. I saw a lot from Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah.
I liked what Bijan Robinson did, even though, the ground game has a little bit of work to do. And the defense, the rookies looked solid. You actually didn't get great play from Caden Ellis or Jesse Bates or the guys that you would maybe rely on to make some of those impact plays. So I'm kind of optimistic even after coming, shocker, coming off of a loss. It's like if they clean up those few areas, this team showed me enough in week 1 to build on. So that's kind of where I'm at going into it. I think the team vibes are fine. It's solid. It's still, again, keeping it in perspective. And it probably won't be until after the bye week that we really start to sense the season bleeding into it. But that is our vibe check. We're now going to, after I just said I've got some optimism and I've got a little bit of some cautious hope going in that we're going to freak out a little bit. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and we're going to get, any of the anxieties that we have built up, and we have a mailbag that went up on Thursday. We had another one that went up on Tuesday, and a lot of fans were able to voice their opinions and some of their anxieties. So I'm going to set the timer right now, 5 minutes on the clock. Terrin?
So now everyone cares about special teams. Been waiting to say this.
It's kind of like the same thing with the run game and like offensive line play. Like you really don't talk about like the offensive line unless something bad's going wrong.
Yeah, now everyone's like, special teams, what's going on?
Terrin's like Bane, and she's just like, I've been here the whole time. I was born in this darkness, baby. Come, welcome.
Left. Is that it?
Yeah.
I was building
you're more freaking out about the bandwagon getting heavier
I was
now.
Like, now everyone wants to pay attention to a unit I have had my focus on for years.
Oh man. So where did the Falcons kicking game go from here? Right? Like
I literally just really wanted to say that.
Right.
But the issue with special teams right now is the fact that Younghoe Koo continues to have kicking issues, problems, inconsistencies, whatever you want to call it. And so right away on Monday, Raheem Morris said that they're going to bring in competition for him.
Yep.
And they did that as soon as Tuesday with Parker Romo. And that we don't get to see any of the kicking battle in the media viewing period of practice. But I will be very curious and kind of surprised if this doesn't happen, whether Parker Romo is one of the 2 practice squad elevations for Sunday.
It'll be very
whether or not he actually goes out there is TBD, but to just have that option to say, like, if Younghoe Koo's vibe, as we were saying, is a little off, then put Parker Romo in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know that there's going to be like a drastic roster change this week at all, but you want that option.
Yeah, it could be something worth monitoring during inactives before the game starts, just to see if there's any indicator there. But yep, that's TBD. Just keeping it on special teams really quickly is I really liked what I saw from Minnesota's rookie returner on Monday night against Chicago. The Falcons gave up a long return on Sunday against Tampa, so like that's got to get cleaned up too. It wasn't just the kicking game. Basically, everybody outside of Bradley Pinion and Liam.
Yeah, someone was like, special teams did so poorly. And I was like, Bradley Pinion pinned 2 within the 10.
She's like, justice for Bradley, dang it.
Bradley did fine.
We got 2:45 left on the timer. Tori, you want to freak out about anything?
I mean, I guess I'll just stay with the kicking game. Like, I mean, the fact of the matter is that on Monday, Raheem Morris is asked, like, not having a consistent kicker, does that change like your game plan or your ability to like make decisions, particularly like in field goal range? And he said, yes, it has to be. And like I said this somewhere, and I was like, this is not a like high school head coach admitting to that or alluding to that. This is a professional NFL head coach alluding to that and saying, yes, it does make a difference in how we go about our game plan. And that to me is like really worrisome.
Well, like, I think it's why you're seeing urgency in kind of addressing it.
Yeah, and I think like that's why they brought in however many kickers they reportedly brought in on Tuesday, and that's why they signed Parker Romo. Yeah. Like it's they're doing. I will give them this. Like they're doing their due diligence in bringing people in, and again, like does that mean they run anyone but Younghoe Koo out there on Sunday night against Minnesota? Like I don't know, but I just think the writing's on the wall with like you have to do something. Because what's the thing? It's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Boom, nailed it. That was amazing.
And
in one breath.
And that is, it kind of feels like this situation. Younghoe Koo's, like, I wrote a whole entire story. I don't need to rehash all of it. Like, go read the story that I wrote, AtlantaFalcons.com, like, and you'll be able to see kind of the trends and the trajectory. But, like, ultimately, that's where we are right now. And it's just, unfortunately, like, it's unfortunate because Younghoe Koo has been so good for this organization for a very long time, but the last, you can only go off of what most recently happened, and in a black and white type of game, in a one-score game, like this stuff just freaking matters. Like it just does, and at this level, you have to have those conversations and you have to do something about it.
Yeah, it'd be like if your entire starting 5 in a basketball team just suddenly started missing all their free throws.
Yeah.
It just makes it really hard when you start getting in late in games and like strategy comes into it to be like, cool, we can navigate what is a more technical aspect now. And
because ultimately, like, what if you have 4th and 3 and you
at the
are in
35-yard
and
line,
you're in
right.
field goal range, like that normally would be a place where you send a kicker out, but like you
No
don't.
hesitation.
Yeah, right. No hesitation, but you have hesitation. Like that's the point.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Is there is like this hesitation within
and
it.
so it's important too, I think, for fans, because like I can already see the like, hey, we could have used a touchdown there or a field goal there in hindsight, and that would have cut the lead to this, and then in the future we could have only kicked a field goal. These are all decisions as the timer goes off. That
Falcons aren't the only one in this situation.
yeah, 49ers releasing Jake Moody.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Broncos or
Did
Browns?
the Broncos make a change?
Broncos or
The
Browns?
Browns. The Browns.
Yeah.
BRO. I was so close.
Yeah.
Close.
But yeah, 49ers, Browns, like, I mean, because it's a one-score. The NFL is a one-score league. Like, that's what they want. They want the competition. They want that. Sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will.
I was going to say, if you kept
That's
talking
my
for a minute longer, I was going to freak out on you.
I was going to freak out.
I thought that was going to be more freak out-y
Respect the alarm.
because then when y'all looked at me to actually like say things, I was like, oh.
You're like,
I was just ready to yell and freak out.
Yeah.
I didn't know we actually had to
I don't
like,
think
come
I'd ever
with
seen you
context.
actually freak out before.
I
I
was
was a
just
little surprised.
about to say the same thing. I don't think I've ever seen Terrin like truly freak out about something.
Yeah, cool, calm,
Not in
collected.
here, at least.
All right, we're now going to start talking a little bit about this next game, and really excited for kind of this concept we came up with. We're calling it our five-layer burrito of
Tell the
success,
people-
our victory burritos.
Tell the people how we landed on this concept.
You're going to be hungry. Every time I
I'm
think about a
always
burrito,
hungry,
I'm
Terrin.
hungry.
That's my
Love
superpower.
a good burrito.
So basically, it's let's start with kind of what is an obvious area that the Falcons maybe need to have success in to win on Sunday, right? But then we want to kind of dive a little bit deeper and show and illustrate how all of these parts of the game are interconnected and kind of build and play off of one another. So the first layer of our offensive burrito that we're about to build is getting the run game going, right? We know that that's their bread and butter. Just we got all the carbs in this this section right here, but they weren't able to do that effectively on Sunday against Tampa. And we saw, it kind of eventually, I think, come back to bite them in the second half when you're unable to sustain those possessions and really lean on what you've been able to. So against Minnesota, when Chicago's offense was working in the first half, it's because they were running the ball successfully. I think that's going to be really important on Sunday. So you want to keep our burrito making going?
Of course. I mean, the Falcons only had 69 rushing yards against the Buccaneers. Only one rushing touchdown, which came from Michael Penix Jr., not from any other running
Doing
backs.
his Michael Jordan impression in Space Jam.
Put the team on his back.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, and let me continue with my stats. For comparison, the Falcons averaged 131 yards rushing per game last season, which ranked 10th in the NFL. So you weren't seeing that top 10 run offense last week. Bijan Robinson had just 24 yards rushing on 12 carries. Tyler Algier also had 24 yards rushing, but on 10 carries. And Michael Penix Jr. had 21. You don't want your quarterback and your running backs to be...
Not unless you're Lamar.
That's fair. That's right.
Right.
You don't want the Falcons quarterback and running backs to be on basically the exact same playing field when it comes to rushing yards. And just for comparison, like league-wise, Derrick Henry had the most rushing yards in week 1 with 169 for the Ravens, even though they lost.
Yeah.
But like 24 versus 169, and people say Bijan Robinson is one of the best backs in the league. We did not see that, at least in the run game. He did really well in the passing game, but we're not talking about that.
Tori, you wrote, I thought, an excellent piece kind of analyzing the run game and how it was not very successful on Sunday. What, in your opinion, do they need to do maybe schematically to jumpstart this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it goes back to even something Zach Robinson talked about when he spoke to the media on Wednesday about, especially in short yardage situations, going back and readjusting what they were even trying to do. And I think that is a good strategy to have because ultimately I saw a lot of different wrinkles within the run game and what they were trying to do with Bijan and Tyler when you compare it to what their bread and butter was in 2024, which we know is stretch zone to the right behind Caleb McGarry and Chris Lindstrom as your lead blockers and having, motioning Charlie Warner out there. That was so successful for them to the clip of they were running to the right on an average of 68% of their runs were
crazy.
going to the right.
Yeah.
We're going behind Caleb McGarry, going behind Chris Lindstrom, and it allows, when you're running this like stretch zone, it allows Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson to cut back if they need to, or to keep going down towards the sideline. Like it allowed this flexibility for the running backs to be out in space and to do what they do best. And I think that what was different this time around was they only had one single play that they ran outside the tackle to the right. Now, what that ultimately means is I don't know. Like, I don't.
I thought it was going to be deeper than that.
No, sorry. I have a point. Whoa. But essentially, Terrin, I'm so sorry.
Literally broke Terrin there. That was so funny.
I'm so sorry. But no, like, so you run one time outside the tackle to the right, comparatively speaking, to 7 times to the left.
Yeah.
That to me just shows that, okay, not having Caleb McGarry there beside Chris Lindstrom had an impact in play calling. And I think that they're like, okay, we know what you have in Matthew Bergeron and Jake Matthews. We're running it to the left. We're and so there's that piece of it. I also think that they were doing a little bit more gap style stuff or like inside zone.
Inside zone,
Sorry.
I feel like. Yeah.
Yes, inside zone stuff, comparatively speaking, with Bijan specifically. And I think that was something that Tampa Bay really sniffed out very well. You watch their middle linebackers and even Antoine Winfield, like at safety, like you saw them basically just zeroing in on Charlie Warner. Yeah. Wherever Charlie Warner was motioning to, whatever side Charlie Warner was, they knew. They're like, this guy is going to be the lead blocker. With that, when you don't have like Caleb McGarry out there who can kind of be
his reputation precedes him.
Yes, yeah. And so all of this kind of accumulated to what Sunday was, and I just think that it was very interesting, the difference in how I felt about the run game at the end of last season and also going into this season. Like, I know for me, I was expecting so much more out of this run game, even without Caleb McGarry in the picture, because of the fact that, like, when it felt like, over the years when nothing's been working, that run game has been. Yeah. And so that was always something that in the preseason and training camp, I was not worried about the run game. But then to come out and have the performance against the Bucs that they did on Sunday, it's like, no, I am worried about it.
You never get comfortable.
Yeah.
All right, let's give a brief burrito breakdown of where we are right now. First layer of the tortilla, you got to get the run game going. So what types of run games or run plays are you going to call? Like, you got to figure out that mix.
Yeah, the nice balance.
Exactly, right? And so if they're going to run as much inside zone as they did on Sunday, then who are the guys we need to see step up? Specifically on the offensive line, I'm looking at those kind of 3 interior guys: Ryan Newsel, Chris Lindstrom, Matthew Bergeron. Yeah. Chris Lindstrom is freaking all-pro. Like, he's one of the best offensive linemen in the league. I didn't think he had a great game on Sunday. But I don't think anybody up front really had a great game on Sunday.
It was the entire line.
Yeah,
I don't think you can put it on any one individual.
No.
And I think, too, Michael Penix had a great quote on Wednesday where he was kind of just like, we need to be more physical at the point of attack, period, point blank, period. And something I was talking to...
That includes wide receivers and tight ends. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to Dave Archer, about kind of all, like, the run game and what they were trying to do. And he's like, what we kind of agreed upon is, like, so there are certain things that you just can't simulate in training camp without, like, a live rep. And sometimes it is this, like, how quickly decisions have to be made in this inside zone, outside zone type of scheme.
Yeah.
And you don't really know the feel of it until you're in the moment and how far you're having to block a guy downfield or who's shifting off of a block. Like, all of these things are happening very live that you can try and simulate as much as you can out at practice, but it's not anywhere close to what you'll see against Tampa Bay in week 1.
Absolutely. And so, but Minnesota's front is no slouch by any means. Like, Javon Hargrave looked amazing out there. So there's going to be another tall task in front of them. You kind of touched on this a little bit, Tori, but, like, the balance not only in the plays you're going to call, but who you're running the football with. And we saw a couple of plays with Tyler and Bijan out there at the same time. I was interested by that. I'd like to see a little bit more from that. But Terrin, what did you think about kind of the usage between those two? I feel like we saw a little more of Tyler in quarters 1 through 3 than we have previously. He's usually kind of like a fourth quarter closer. What'd you make of just their kind of overall mix?
I like to see more of Tyler. I think he is more so of a bowling ball of a running back where you want to see him in the short yardage situations. I just think he plows his way through more easily, whereas Bijan is like the elusive one who can go the longer distances when needed. So maybe that's the balance. I don't know that it needs to be quarter-based, and maybe that's what they're trying to get away from.
Yeah, I do think there's something to that. The blend of kind of using these different formations, the different runners, the different plays. Like, that's what they're going for, is the tendency breaking things, which is why it's so interesting, the 68% and the success they had. Like, that is tendency all the way, baby, and we are just running it and you can't stop us.
Right. I mean, what's so interesting, too, is that it completely flipped on its head on Sunday, where it's like, okay,
it's all to the left.
68% of all of the Falcons' runs in 2024 were outside the tackles, whereas 63% this on Sunday, week 1, was inside the tackles. So to me, also, there was an issue too with like lanes being clogged too quickly, and there was a part of me that's like, as we're talking about like who do you run it with, there was a part of me that's like, I want to see a bit more inside zone with Tyler Algier than Bijan Robinson, because my big thing with Bijan Robinson is get him out in space.
Yeah.
Let him make a move. Like, allow him the ability.
More 50-yard touchdown catches that start at the 50, please.
Right, like
and
all
that proved his ability to
weave.
Like, put him out in space. I'm not saying go stretch outside zone to the right every single time with Bijan Robinson, but hey, if it's working, it's working.
am.
Like, and then I think some of this more like inside zone stuff with Tyler Algier makes a lot of sense, because he has the ability to kind of like, to your point, run through people. So if those lanes are getting more clogged, like Bijan doesn't have the space to make a move, but Tyler, the way his game is, I'm like, he can run into some people.
You have the best of both worlds in that.
Right, you really do, yeah.
All right, we're gonna put this offensive burrito to bed real quick. First layer, get the run game going. Second, what types of run plays should be called? Third, which offensive linemen need to step up? 4, who do you run it with? And the last layer to this one is, what would establishing the run do for the rest of the offense, Tori?
Oh my gosh, it just opens up the pass game so much more.
There you go.
I mean, the fact of the matter is Michael Penix was 0 for 7 and Will, I know that we talked about this post game. He was 0 for 7.
On final whistle.
Sorry, yes. Check it out. But he was 0 for 7 in throws beyond 15 yards.
Air yards,
yes. And that, to me, we were talking after the game about how that 7 number was a little bit low on the lower spectrum than maybe what we even thought with Michael Penix knowing his arm strength, but also to the 0 for 7. And I think that the way that Tampa Bay was able to kind of sniff out the runs and take away the runs, and it just kind of, not only did it clog things up with the run game, but it clogged things up, I think, everywhere else in terms of what you wanted to do from a pass game perspective. And, Michael Penix said it always starts with the run for Atlanta. Yep. Like, it's always that's going to be who they are. They want to run the rock. And when you can't do that, and Raheem Morris said, like, we weren't wanting Michael Penix to throw the ball as many times as he did against Tampa.
That's what I think it unlocks, is it takes, he becomes less of a game manager, and you allow him to become like, hey, go sling the ball around, because we can lean on the run game to keep us on schedule instead of Michael Penix. Love that as our offensive burrito. We're now going to move on to our defense burrito, and this is going to have to be a little baby burrito.
Baby burrito.
We got about
salsa?
5 minutes to talk through this burrito. So the first layer to this one is going to be finishing plays, right? Sacks, turnovers, when you get a chance, finish it.
Yep.
What's going to be who is going to have to, or where does that start, up front or on the back end for you?
Starts up front. I mean, it's getting sacks. They only had 1 sack, but they were pressuring Baker Mayfield at a rate of 40.5%, which actually ended up being one of the best defensive pressure rates in all of the league in week 1. And so they were there. They were around him. They were all over him. They were making him uncomfortable, like causing some errant throws early on in the game. But then it goes, the next layer within that is, okay, if you can't get the sack, you got to contain him.
Yeah.
And that's where I think ultimately got away from them on Sunday.
Yeah, we saw Baker, kind of break contain there a few different times, and they kind of resulted in some of the biggest plays for Tampa. J.J. McCarthy, he can run too, Terrin.
Yeah, and J.J. McCarthy, it was talked about today how Jesse Bates was talking about it, how J.J., if anything, could be faster than Baker, and he has that ability, and that's only 1 game of film on him that maybe he unlocks even more in week 2. So being able to contain him is key, and being able to get him down is even better.
And as a young quarterback, honestly, I would think that he might even be a little quicker to get out of the pocket and just use his legs as opposed to standing in there like a veteran like Baker who's kind of seen it all.
Yeah, he's probably less comfortable just standing.
Exactly. And so I think you tap into that. And let's go another layer deeper is that pressure on a young quarterback, if you're able to box him in and not leave him anywhere to go. All right, now I got to make a play. I got to look downfield. Who am I going to throw the ball to? It could be an Atlanta Falcon because we saw a lot of them around the ball on Sunday. And again, a young quarterback, he looked kind of shaky to start that game against Chicago.
Well, that's exactly what Chicago did in that first half. They took Justin Jefferson away. The interior of that defensive line, shout out Grady Jarrett, of that Chicago defensive line was getting significant pressure on J.J. McCarthy, and he throws an interception very early on. Now, he was able to bounce back and get a bit more comfortable in the flow of the game, but that first half specifically showed that, like, hey, if you can get him uncomfortable, he's gonna air it out and put the ball in the scope of an Xavier Watts, who, let's be freaking for real, he was in the lane.
Let's be freaking for real.
Let's be freaking for real. Like, he had 2 opportunities where the ball was literally inches away. Same that Caden Ellis got hit in the chest with one. A.J. Terrell was diving for one, couldn't completely hold on to it. Like, there were opportunities. And if we're talking about this game on Sunday and what it could mean for this coming Sunday, is the fact that, like, one of those plays happened, we're maybe talking about a completely different outcome to Sunday's game. That's how the league is, going back to even to the first thing that we're talking about with the kicking game. So the margin for error is so small that when you do have an error that you capitalize on, like a turnover opportunity, like, that can really change the momentum of the game.
It's still always easier said than done because there were these opportunities, and there could be opportunities again this Sunday. But that's why we're talking about finishing these plays, because otherwise it is just another missed op.
But it's not just the plays that you got to finish, and this is our final layer of the burrito. You got to finish the game. Right? We saw the Falcons; they were unable to do that on Sunday. We saw the Vikings come back to win that game in kind of dramatic fashion.
I got a good one for you.
Go for it.
J.J. McCarthy is the first starting quarterback with a 10-point fourth-quarter comeback in his NFL debut since Steve Young in 1985. He's the only such quarterback since 1950 to do so on the road.
Wow.
Because we're forgetting he accomplished
in Chicago.
all this
in Chicago
on the road.
Yeah, in Chi-Town. That's crazy. So even though he's young, right, like, he's capable.
Yeah.
And this offense, Minnesota, is very capable. They've kind of been a little bit of a Falcons boogeyman in recent years. Like, I think they've won 6 of the last 7. So the Falcons are going to have their work cut out for them going on the road, a big game, a crazy environment. But again, as I said kind of up top, my vibe check, I think this team is capable of doing it. They just have to go out and play that way. So that is our defensive burrito, our offensive burrito. And now we're going to wrap it up, but I want to just remind everybody the Falcons did open week 1 against a rival. But they're playing maybe their biggest rival, or at least certainly my biggest rival.
Will's biggest
because I want to renew the Duluth, Georgia versus Duluth, Minnesota rivalry. All right? For those who are unaware, there is a far inferior Duluth, much, much, much further north than the one down here in Georgia. Their downtown is too big. It's too noisy. There's buildings, there's smoke, there's too many cars. Ours is quaint. You can walk from one side to the other in a mere 30 seconds.
Yeah.
There's a fountain in the middle. It's beautiful. There's one park swing. It's great. Come check it out.
One single park
If you didn't know, a big part of the reason that Duluth, Minnesota was founded is because of the beaver pelt industry. I am pro-beaver. I'm a fan of the beavers, and I don't think they should be killed for their pelts. So that is a reason right there. Duluth, Georgia, no beaver kills. In 1869 to 70, Duluth was the fastest growing city in the country and was expected to surpass Chicago in only a few years. Well, how did that work out for you, Duluth? Moving on. In the very first Duluth Minnesotian, the editor wrote to everybody, among other things, everyone should bring blankets and come prepared to rough it at first. So if that is your elevator pitch for your new city, hey, come down to Duluth, Georgia. It's not going to be freezing cold, and we have hotels for you.
Yeah. You don't need to rough it.
So, yeah, just wanted to put that on everybody else's radar that it is a true blue rivalry weekend for the Atlanta Falcons once again, or at least for the city of Duluth, Georgia. How'd I do?
Yeah, I got nothing.
That was so fun, Will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun. I had a blast.
I'm so glad that you are pushing this. You know, it's like on Mean Girls. Like, I'm trying to make fetch happen.
Oh, I am making fetch happen.
This is your fetch. Like, this is your, what's the word? Like, the main...
This is just my mission. This is my project. This is my life goal.
This is your life
Your
goal.
platform.
Yeah, this is your platform. This is your brand.
Yep.
And we're really happy to be here and support you.
I'm going to start selling shirts. Next time you watch this Friday 5, we're going to have shirts
that just
it says Duluth, Georgia with a greater than sign and then a Duluth, Minnesota.
Yeah.
There
yeah.
you go. Maybe I can work on that. Awesome.
I don't know how to react to any of this. Just sitting here in silence.
So producer Jared gave me another lovely
boy.
little note down here. It says, according to Reddit user Bubonic Tonic, love that name.
There you go.
The traffic gets worse, the better the traffic is. I don't even know what that means. And according to another Reddit user, they call me Mr. Pickles, another great name. Reddit has the best names.
So good.
The streets are a mess and the snow cleanup sucks. So yeah, you know.
Honestly, maybe same thing could be said about probably Duluth, Georgia.
Hey, our streets are amazing, and it rarely snows.
But it ices.
And that's what
And
it's a
as
mess.
someone who had to be saved off the side of a road one time via ice, my boyfriend had to come and pick me up. I had to
There you
walk
go.
half a mile.
Was there a new snowpocalypse, or was that during the
This
snowpocalypse?
was back in
Last year,
literally
right?
this past January. I was at the facility and I drove and I couldn't get up a hill.
Oh my god! All right, we gotta wrap this thing before we go off the rails. Thank you guys so much for listening.
I am the problem.
This was, I hope, a lot of fun. I had fun in here today. So again, big matchup on Sunday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. Falcons have a tough one ahead of them, but we'll see if they're capable and up to the challenge. That'll do it for us today. We will see you after the game for Falcons Final Whistle, which you can get bright and early Monday morning. For Tori McElhaney and Terrin Waack, I'm Will McFadden. Thank you so much for listening to the Friday 5.